Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of From People Problems to Productivity. I'm Kirsten Ross Vogel, your Human Resource and Team Performance Pro. Thanks for joining me. Today, I am talking about some key tactics to make sure you avoid some common trip ups to leading well. I'm going to just share 3. As always, if you see this, drop a comment below or shoot me a DM. I would love to hear from you. I have a different URL today because I'm going to be giving away a freebie. So you can see it there, defeatsdrama.com/delegation. All right. So 3 common trip ups that I see to leading well. One is working with a team you don't trust. Now, it might seem obvious at first what the solution is to this, but things aren't always as they seem. If you don't trust your team, it might be that you have a team who's not trustworthy. So there's solutions for that for sure. But I always have my clients take a look at, is it because they just have a difficult time trusting, releasing control? As a leader, are you prone to micromanaging? Do you feel like if you release control, everything will fall apart? Um, and it might not be that you overtly lack trust in your team. It's just in your actions, you're not showing that you trust. So the first trip up is 1, that you're leading a team you don't trust. But 2, take a look, gain that self-awareness. Why aren't you trusting them? If you get super specific, which I encourage you to do, because the goal is to not stay in that lack of trust. But do an objective analysis. Have someone like me help if you need that. But do they have the attitude and the aptitude? So are they able and willing to do the job well? If they're able but not willing, that's an attitude thing. Address it. Give them the opportunity to make the right choices. If it's an aptitude thing and they have a great attitude, and love the mission and attached to the outcomes that you're working to create in your business or nonprofit, then what kind of investment will it take? Can they get there? So those are the questions to ask if you're struggling to trust some of your team. Why? What can you do about it? And then ultimately, if you can't get them there to the attitude or the aptitude, then there's some next steps you likely need to take. Now, if they do have the attitude and the aptitude, but you are just struggling internally to let go and prove that you trust them, then that's work that you do within, right? That work of 1. So get to a place where you can start to relinquish control, give them the opportunity to be great problem solvers, use discretionary effort, be independent, and that's when the magic happens, by the way. The reason that you have a team to lead is the goal is to have them be a coordinated extension of you. If you need to be involved in every problem solving, every decision, every action, then really you're not increasing your circle of influence. You're not making your bigger, bolder impact because you are still a limiting factor in what can get done. So, important thing to look at. All right. The next thing is, are you sharing information without being clear about your objective? So, the sharing information piece. So, 1, if you have the tendency to be kind of a dictating leader, you're constantly always sharing the information. This is similar to the last one, kind of the outcome of not trusting your team, that you have to share exactly how things need to be done, exactly how to solve every problem, exactly how to address every customer service issue, exactly what a process should be, versus allowing your team the opportunity to use their great skill sets. If you've hired the right people, they want to make an impact, they want to feel valued, they want to share their value and make a difference in your organization. So, are you sharing all the information because you're, again, kind of going back to the trustworthiness or trusting, worried about releasing that control? The other trip up that I see around sharing information, I've talked about this a little bit in terms of so sometimes leaders rely on their teams a lot in decision making. They actually have a very collaborative culture where debate happens and everyone has input before decisions are made. Now, that's a good thing. The more we can incorporate other people's ideas, again, we're expanding the circle of influence. There's that whole like third brain thing that happens when you're involving more people in conversations and decisions and creativity and problem solving and all of that. But at times, I see leaders saying, the team wants to continue to debate with me. Or, at some point, the decision has to be made. Or they've set up a culture where the team is frustrated if you don't follow their lead, let them decide. Sometimes this can lead to a leader kind of avoiding sharing some information because they don't want the debate. So be clear about why you're sharing information. Let your team know if you do get to make decisions as a leader, and there are going to be times when you can't do what your team wants. You have the full perspective. And so when that happens, be clear. I'm making the decision this time. And if you've seen, I had another video where I talked about the three key objectives to share in a meeting. When you're sharing information, it might not even be in a meeting, just in sharing information. Let the team know or the person know the objective of why you're sharing the information so they know the role that they're playing. Because what you don't want to do, again, is avoid sharing information because of the response you might get or the activity that your team will engage in that maybe you don't want at that point. So the three key objectives that to kind of just super simplify and summarize, you can share information as an FYI, let them know. I'm sharing this for you to know. We're not going to discuss it. We're not going to debate, just as an FYI. The second objective might be that I'm sharing this information and then I want to hear all of our ideas. We're going to collaborate. We're going to collect, creative solutions. And then I'm going to decide. So I'm not giving up decision-making power, but I do want your input. Now, if you do that, remember to let them know what the final decision was and why you made it, and a little bit about how maybe you sprinkled in their input and show appreciation for their input. Make sure you do that. But anyway, then the third objective that you would share is, I'm sharing this information and we are going to decide together. So by doing that simple thing, you become clear about why you're sharing the information. You're not apt to kind of withhold information because you don't want the debate. And the team isn't disappointed because they have different expectations about their participation and the role that they're going to play in the conversation because you've let them know ahead of time. All right, the third trip up to leading well is lacking clarity when you delegate. There are simple steps to make sure that you are delegating well. There are simple steps, a formula to make sure that that really ignite team follow through. I've identified them, and there are 6. And the good news is, I have a freebie for you. You can get a PDF download and a quick video of me explaining all 6 by going to defeatthedrama.com/delegation. So the link right here. But let me give you one quick clue. If you're delegating and saying, when you get around to it or when you get a chance, and I get it, your intentions are, my team's super busy, I don't even know what is all on their plate, or I'm delegating to directors or managers or supervisors and they have a team and I'm not going to dictate, so I'm not going to tell them when it needs to be done. I'm being respectful of their time. I've heard it all. But if you're saying that, then this task that you're delegating likely is not going to rise to the top of the pile and it's not going to get prioritized in. So using that little phrase alone is one thing that kind of minimizes, decreases your team follow through. So that's just one of the keys. So grab this though at defeatthedrama.com/delegation so that you learn all 6. But I will tell you that one thing is key is having a meeting of the minds of what the drop dead deadline is so that you give that call to action for this task to actually get done. Key trip up. All right. So the 3 trip ups are that you need to avoid as a leader: working with a team that you don't trust, and if you're in that circumstance, is it because you shouldn't be trusting them right now? If that's the answer, if you say yes to that, then what are you going to do about it? Is it an attitude thing or an aptitude thing? So identify it, get really clear about what needs to happen so that you know the next steps to take because you got to fix it. Or are you just having a difficult time trusting because it's something you got to work on, releasing control? And maybe you haven't been a great delegator. I mean, I see this all the time with my clients too. They haven't been great delegators. What do I hear from them? I hear, if I want it done, I just need to do it myself. The team doesn't follow through. It always ends up back on me anyway. Why do I even have all these people working for me? Those kinds of things. And if then any of that sounds familiar, it might be that you're setting up a circumstance where you kind of accidentally, unintentionally pull the work back. And so again, those 6 simple steps will help you avoid that work coming back onto your lap. But so there might be some key things that you're doing to teach your team not to start the projects or the tasks because you end up taking them back. If you stop and think about it, that might be happening. But so anyway, if you're working with a team you don't trust, is it them or is it you? Take the action because you don't want to keep leading a team that you don't trust. Do what you got to do to have a team that you can rely on. The next is sharing information without being clear about your objectives. So let them know. One, are you being sharing too much information constantly and then they never get to provide their input? Or are you maybe avoiding sharing information or sharing information then feeling disappointed because the debate never ends? So remember, the 3 key objectives that you can identify when you're showing information will make it very clear for everyone on the team the role that you expect them to play during this next conversation where you're sharing some key information. Is it FYI? Are you taking their input and then deciding? Or are you going to have a good, healthy discussion and then decide together? And then the third trip up to avoid to great leadership is follow the 6 simple steps to great delegation. Grab your copy or go watch the video where I go through all 6 at defeatthedrama.com/delegation. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope these videos are helping. I started doing them a bit ago and I'm really enjoying it. I love hearing from all of you. If you are at a place where you just want to grab a spot on my calendar, you can still do that. Go to defeatthedrama.com/book call. Grab a spot. The link is on my header as well. But anyway, hope to hear from you. Thanks so much. Make it a great day. Get out there, make your bigger, bolder impact. The world is waiting. All right. Bye.